All right, Noe, we're going to talk a little commercial strategy platform.
Mhm.
Why don't you kick us off with what problem did Logic set out to solve with their commercial strategy platform?
Sure. So it's a consistent challenge that we heard because we actually spoke with a lot of commercial leaders, both in title as well as in just professional direction, as to what their challenges are currently. And the industry's done a phenomenal job in the individual disciplines, the people, in working in this commercial sense, this idea of sharing and collaborating between sales, marketing, and revenue management. But there was clearly a challenge in the technology and the tools that were available that would come alongside and support those efforts. So the most consistent issue that we saw was really data. Like, how do we get data into one place where we can see how things are interacting with each other so that we can make strategic decisions? And so that was really, it was interesting because Logic started off, its root was in RMS. So data is really at its core. It's always been at its core. So being able to evolve along with the industry to get into more of this commercial space was very organic for us. So as we looked at the system and we looked at the need, it went from being an organic development into commercial to a very intentional push into that space.
I'm trying to coin the phrase tech fragmentation problem.
Yeah.
If everyone could just get behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us a little bit about how that problem manifests itself within hotels.
Well, every new piece of tech that comes on board brings new reports, every single one. And if we laid out every report that each piece of technology makes available to us, and we talk about that analysis paralysis, there's really no better visualization than that. And rather than, because I don't think that necessarily the problem is that we need fewer pieces of technology, right? So I don't think that it's that we don't need that innovation that comes with that high expertise. But what we need is technology that works well with other technologies. And what I mean by that is as new tech comes into the space, its job should not be to just kick everything out and take everything, nor should it be to work in its own silo. What it should be is the kind of the easiest one to play with at the playground. It's the one that should look at all of the other technologies and go, how can I incorporate what they're doing, what their data pieces are, to make my system better, and vice versa? What is it that my system does that could potentially have a positive impact on other technologies that are already established in a hotel? This is one of the challenges that hotels come across is they've got their tech stack sitting there, and every time a new piece of tech comes in, okay, do we pull out the other piece that's exactly like this? Or if this was something that could come alongside and actually enhance the technology that exists on the property, then that's really what we should be focusing on.
So describe your solution for us.
Sure thing. So as I mentioned, it is at its base, at its core, there's a revenue management aspect. But I think revenue management is really becoming a bit of an antiquated term because, and revenue optimization really took the place of that. But what we're finding is even more than just revenue optimization, there's a quality of revenue that we want to be focusing on as well. And so that quality of revenue, not all dollars are made the same. So we want to make sure that we're not just bringing in new business or more business. We want to be bringing in the right business. And so with this understanding, with a revenue management platform that then takes into account what's happening in the market, understanding consumer buying habits, understanding the trends and what's happening, and even more importantly, what's going to happen, that allows for that right price place to be set on the revenue side. But as I mentioned, understanding not just what is happening, but what is going to happen in the market with forward-thinking algorithms, we can look and share this type of data with our marketing team and understand which consumers are going to be the best consumers for us to be targeting at any particular time. Where are soft periods that we're going to be needing help, and where are strong periods that perhaps we shouldn't be spending as much, or we should be much more surgical in the way that we're spending our money. And then again, alongside with our sales team, really allowing, I've been so impressed with the sales discipline recently in our industry that they have really made, I think, really more than any of the other disciplines, a lot of intentional development, personal development in understanding specifically revenue management. There's always been kind of a little bit of a marketing aspect for sales, but to really get outside of what they have traditionally understood and got into that revenue space where they're able to make true business cases. And so what we want to do is be able to equip salespeople as they're evolving into this very savvy business mind to be able to have those optimal rates, those displacement analysis, like all of those facts and figures for them to sit down with the commercial team and go, is this good money for us to be taking?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Bringing in the right business, revenue optimization makes a lot of sense. So how would you describe your different?
The fact that we are very holistic and not just looking at what we're affecting in the revenue space, but really in the entire org when it comes to the commercial, I think that is such a big differentiator. When I look at even just when we look at the rates and the algorithms that we use, it has been traditionally, and I'm guilty of this as well. When I was hotel side, I would look at my hotel and my pace, and then I would look at my competitor rates, and I would make decisions based off of those. Now, where the fault comes in with that is if I'm only looking at what my competitors are selling, I'm making the assumption that they're just better revenue managers than me. If I'm basing my rates in any way, shape, or form off of them, then I'm making an error. Looking into this market data, into the marketing information, and understanding what consumers are buying and what they're going to be buying, and being able, again, to that strategic word is just it's hard to get away from, but being able to look at what's going to be coming so we don't have reactionary movements in the revenue space. And being able to hold rate and know when it is that things are going to be coming in, that's a huge differentiator. And I think we're going to see more and more of that need to not look only at my hotel's data, not only look at my competitors' rates, because again, I just think that we did that when we didn't have more tools, but now we do. And so how do we incorporate all of those? And then we start looking at, again, the way that our system works, we're just huge data consumers. The more we can understand about the hotel, about price sensitivities, about the market, about different groups, the more that we can understand about the airline industry. And these are all places that we are gathering data so that it's much more, the decisions are being made with just much more information. That's what we always want. Whenever we want to make a big decision or important decision, we always want to know all of the information that can be impacting it. And now with our system, that's possible.
Results. So talk to us about some of the results your customers are experiencing.
And the easiest one is revenue. That's the easiest one to talk about, incremental revenue, growing revenue. But some of the kind of smaller, I think a little bit more hidden results or benefits with our system are things like, well, time. A lot less time is spent in gathering all of the information, putting it in one place, trying to overlap it, having 5,000 different spreadsheets with different macros set up. Remove all of those, make it much easier to see everything in one place, answer questions on the fly so that we're not having to set up a meeting to bring everybody else's reports together and try to find what the answer is. Being able to be working with one mind, right? So the idea of having a team where we're all in alignment so that we're not fighting each other. All of us, our sales, revenue, and marketing, understand the goal ahead of us. And then we can together develop that drive, that plan, that strategy to get to that goal together rather than being at odds with each other. That, again, small nuance talk about a better work environment when you're working alongside and you're helping each other and you really feel like you're part of a team, and you feel like what you're doing is positively impacting others. And just that general ease. So a lot of times revenue managers have got these really great algorithmic brains, and they do a lot of thinking, but they end up doing a lot of button pushing, and they spend a lot of time reconfiguring. If it's maybe a more traditional RMS, maybe they have to reconfigure what the algorithm is in there, or they're having to push out buttons, and we just take that away. Let them use their brains for strategy. Let us do all of the button pushing for you and understand what buttons need to be pushed so you don't have to do that.
Yep. Sounds good. Very exciting. Thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jason.